yourself, your ideas, when you're with your friends and you're talking to them and you're trying to reason with them, that's selling. Why don't you want it? Like, it's not about, yeah, you don't need it, but if you can afford it because you work hard and you strive and you do better and you're growing, these are some of the things you can have.
Growing up, all I saw was kind of that hustle mentality.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to a fire episode of the Winners Club podcast. My name is Brian Tran, your host. I got my co-host over there, PJ Padua.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
And we have a real special guest. And before I introduce her and what she does here at the Winners Club podcast, where we're going to be teaching you guys how to win, how to crush it, how to find your drive. And even when we don't win, we learn, and learning is a form of winning. So guys, do us a favor, share this podcast with 5 guests because you don't want to miss it. Today I got a special guest, Maria Duong. Say what's up.
Hello, everybody.
So Maria's on the episode today because she is a shark, a killer. She may look all nice and pretty, but deep down, she's a hunter, destroyer. First year in real estate selling, she did 14.7, almost a little under 15 million.
Sheesh.
And if you guys have been in real estate as an agent, you know how difficult that is. And this year, she's on track to doubling it. Not only did she crush it in real estate, she got a real pop in Instagram showing people how to cook food.
Yeah,
so
let's
she
go.
does it all. And I've been witnessing her firsthand, you know, just the energy, the drive, the optimism, the attitude is amazing, even when things aren't going great because the real estate market kind of sucks right now.
Yeah.
But she doesn't let that affect her. So without further ado, we're going to dive into her life, her story, and let her share some gems for you guys, all right? Did I miss anything, Maria?
No, I mean, I'm a pretty good golfer.
Oh,
You know,
dang, I didn't know
pretty good
that.
golfer.
Yeah, give us a little small intro for yourself. What are you about, Maria?
So I have a lot of interests and hobbies.
Okay.
Golf being one of them. I think my main passion right now is just cooking. I absolutely love it. It gives me a lot of joy. And I think it's good to have a lot of hobbies and passions outside of what you do for work because it keeps your life balanced. And it's just good to have things in your life, you know, that bring you happiness.
What do you like to cook? What's your favorite cuisine type?
Honestly, anything Asian. So I'm Cambodian and Chinese. So I always gravitate towards, you know, Southeast Asian flavors like spicy, really, really well-seasoned food.
Okay.
I like it.
But thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Brian.
Of
Really
course.
appreciate that.
Well, you know, again, I think your story is one that is worth sharing because you kind of uprooted your whole life, went to a new area where you didn't know anyone, and struggled and then thrived. So take us back. Tell us, like, the beginning, like, your family life. You don't have to go too deep, but, like, were they rich? Were they poor? Did they have a donut shop?
Yeah,
You know?
That would be like super
You know
serious.
what I'm saying?
Cambodians always have,
Yeah,
you know.
I honestly wish they did. So if we were going to take it all the way back, you know, my parents are both refugees. They fled the Khmer Rouge, and we ended up in South Central LA. IRS placed us. IRC placed us.
Like immigration, something like that, yeah.
They placed us in LA. I wasn't born yet, but we started out in LA, and then we moved to Long Beach, and I'm actually one of 8 kids.
Oh, shoot, me
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
Are you the youngest?
I'm number 7.
Oh, dang, okay.
So second to youngest. And so my parents have like super, super humble beginnings. You know, they came to the country, they were already adults. So it's a little bit more difficult to learn a new language if you're not introduced to it at a very young age. And so my parents, all they knew is that they came here to give us a better life. And so, you know, they recycled cans, bottles, they did whatever they could do. There was one point, I think they were like selling perfume out their trunk or whatever, like whatever they could do just to put food on our table. And, you know, they had a lot of kids. So growing up, all I saw was kind of that hustle mentality. It didn't really matter what you did as long as you brought money home.
Yeah.
You know? And so we relocated from Long Beach to San Diego. And that's where I was raised. So we grew up very poor, you know, government assistance, food stamps, WIC. When we first moved to San Diego, we were in a 1-bedroom apartment in East San Diego.
People?
My little sister wasn't born yet, so there was 7 kids. My parents, so there was 9 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Sheesh.
In East Side San Diego. And then my grandma moved us into her home when she passed away, where we lived on Altadena Street. But for me, my upbringing was very humbling. Mm-hmm. Everybody around me was kind of in a similar circumstance, so to me it was like normalized.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough to have this little like par 3 golf course in my neighborhood. It was like in the inner city in City Heights.
Wow.
They had this little par 3 golf course, like honestly, this little like piece of heaven in the middle of everything going on. And I started golfing there, and they presented me with the opportunity to apply for a scholarship to go to a private school.
Oh, wow.
What age was this?
And this was, I was in 6th grade.
Oh, geez.
So they, just dropped this opportunity on me, like, hey, I think you'd be a great applicant for this private school, and I was really, really excited. And so I applied, went through the application process, and long story short, got accepted.
Get out of here.
But
because they saw you golfing.
They saw I was golfing. They interviewed me. I took a few entrance exams. I passed, and they ended up accepting me, which was insane because I think the name of the school is Francis Parker, and there's only about 100 kids per grade. They're very, very selective on who they choose to get accepted to their school. It's one of the top preparatory.
Were you pretty
schools.
charismatic at a young age?
Absolutely.
Okay, I figured because otherwise, you're a little Asian kid. They're probably like,
Right.
But you probably had that persona. You were talking, and
I think I was always gifted with an ability to connect with people.
Okay.
And so from a very young age, shout out to Pro Kids. That's the name of the par 3 golf course organization. It's the first tee of San Diego, but it's also called Pro Kids. And so they taught me from a young age how to public speak, speak in front of a large crowd.
At the golf course?
Yeah. So
that's a really good skill to learn, like very young.
Yeah.
So it's more than golfing.
Way more.
Okay.
They're so huge on teaching their golfers life skills through the game of golf. So they use golf as a means to teach, inner city youth how to be successful in the real world.
Dang.
Yeah, and how to actually have, a lot of like core values.
Are they still around?
They are.
Oh man, that's
good. They are. It's an amazing organization. You guys should look into it. They have first tees all over the country.
Did it cost money?
It was free.
Wow.
What?
Thanks to all the generous donors, they made it happen.
All right. Well, you got to make sure to donate some back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would love to actually sponsor one of the golf holes one day and have my name on there.
Okay.
Cool.
But
sorry to ask, but do you think that helped a lot? Like you building character? Do you remember those? Go back and look and say, hey, I'm thankful that I had that opportunity earlier.
Absolutely. So there's 18 holes on this course, and every hole has a core value on it. And so
That's
one
really
of my
good branding,
right? And one of my favorite holes was perseverance. So perseverance, it always stuck with me because I knew that when things got tough or I was going through a hard time, that I would just have to persevere, and there was always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. So those core values always stuck with me. At the time, I didn't think much of it. And then as an adult looking back, I'm like, wow, this really shaped who I am.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's when your parents tell you stuff in the beginning, when you're growing up, and then you don't realize it until you're 20, 25. And then you're like, oh yeah, mom told me to follow my
that
dreams.
Actually makes so much sense.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that I hold true and dear to me today is stuff that I heard way back when. Yeah. But I have a good memory. Yeah. So I remember my childhood. I remember all the stuff. I'm like, oh shoot, I remember my dad telling me this, and it comes back. What were the other 2 core values? You said
there was
18.
Holes?
Oh, 18.
So honesty, perseverance.
Oh, okay.
That's tight.
That kind of stuff was humility. You know, how to be humble. And the reason why I bring up, part of my story, going to this private school and getting accepted to this private school, is because that was the first time in my life where I was exposed to wealth. So up until this point, I'm growing up, government assistance, living in the inner city, and being exposed to extreme levels of wealth, kids pulling up G-Wagons, Beamers, Benzes, and even the upperclassmen, the high schoolers, they all drove Mercedes, they all drove BMW. And for me, it was such shock. Like it was crazy to me. But one thing that it allowed me to do was realize that there was so much more than what I was exposed to my whole life, that there was this whole other world of wealth and success that I knew nothing about.
Right.
And it like extremely piqued my interest because I kind of had an identity crisis, you know?
Yeah.
I'm at this school, I'm super poor, everybody else is really wealthy.
Did that affect you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like did you feel some type of way? Did you feel like you couldn't fit in? Did they pick on you? Stuff like that?
I think it was mostly internal, right? Like I just felt like I didn't belong there, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
all these people are just really well off and I can't relate at all. And
Your
so
own self-sabotage.
yeah, and it kind of made me, I'd always been really like proud of where I came from.
Yeah.
And then for the first time in my life, I'm kind of like embarrassed. I'm like, wow, like I can't, size up with these people.
Yeah.
But what it really did for me was inspire me to live like that one day,
Yeah.
inspire me to live comfortably enough to set my children up to, have the highest level of education.
At
Yes.
6 years old? I mean, not 6 years old. Sorry.
It's
At
so seventh grade is when I started there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nuts.
But that identity crisis, I think, is what really like fueled me
Yeah.
because I was just like, this is not how I need to be living. And a lot of people that grew up where I'm from, it's kind of like a perpetual cycle, right? Like you grow up on government assistance, food stamps and everything. And that's just normalized to you.
Yeah.
Like that's okay. That's comfortable. You're not exposed to anything else. So it's okay. And going to a private school, I realized I was like, I want to be that parent pulling up in the G-Wagon, dropping my kid off.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about anything like that.
That's the thing, right? So I tell people all the time, like, go and expose yourself to these things.
Yeah.
Like, go look at the $5 million homes.
Yeah.
Like, I was in real estate. I'm still in real estate, but like when I would go tour, I wouldn't go look at the stuff that I could afford or even the stuff that my clients were looking for.
Yeah.
I would go look at the 5, 6,
Yeah.
$20 million homes and be like, damn, they have an espresso machine in the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, because, in a big 8,000 square foot house, you don't want to walk down to the freaking kitchen. It's too far. You wake up, you want to do your make your latte right then and there. It's like little stuff like that. And it's like, wow, like this is how some people live. And don't hate. I think some people get it all mixed up and like, I catch a lot of people say this a lot because, I have big dreams and then I don't care I tell people.
Yeah.
They're like, why do you need that? Why do you need that? And I'm like, and I look at them and I said, why don't you want it?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about, you don't need it, but if you can afford it because you work hard and you strive and you do better and you're growing, these are some of the things you can have.
Yeah.
But for me, I always chase growth.
Yeah.
I think most people just get happy with what they got.
Yeah.
And I'm all about living below your means.
Absolutely.
But my thing is up your means.
Yeah.
Like, why should you only make $100,000 a year?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you make, now it's like I see people making tens of millions a year. And I'm like, they're no different than you and I.
Absolutely.
They're not smarter. It's not like they went. Some of my people I know, they did go to Harvard, and those guys are making like a lot. The others, dude, some of them you'd be so surprised. Barely speak English, then they're making like tens of millions a year.
I believe it.
So keep pushing. But keep continuing. I'm loving it. So
Yeah.
you go to this school, you seen all these kids getting dropped off in G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah,
So like, how were your grades? Were your grades pretty good?
Honestly, it was crazy because like to get accepted, I had like stellar grades. But once I actually got there, I think I was so like enveloped with this identity crisis. It was kind of like I forgot what even got me there to begin with,
Yeah.
And I was always just like focused on golf. I have this really extremely high competitive drive. Anybody who's known me ever since I was very little could tell you that. And I think that's also one of the things that have gotten me to this point in my life is this high competitive drive. Just because I think in order to be successful and achieve things, you have to want to be the best in whatever you do.
Right.
And that's like a big motto of mine too.
That's really cool. I think just kind of analyzing your story, it sounds like, you were put in a place where, you might have felt, out of place and you had the identity crisis, and it really brought you to be competitive because like, you're like, the only way I know how to be there is to compete with these people. I think that's a great trait to have. But I want to transition and let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to like high school. Like, let me hear it. Like, you already have these big dreams, driving the G-Wagon and having kids in private school and all that. And did it carry on in high school? And what was your life like? And
so I think high school was kind of when like shit got real. I was like, okay, I was like, all right, like I'm about to go off into the real world. Like all these dreams of G-Wagons, like that's great.
Yeah.
But how am I actually gonna get there? So like one of the first jobs that I had, I don't know if you guys have probably heard of it. Have you guys heard of Cutco, the knives?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That was actually the first job I ever had, and that's when I knew, like,
dude,
I didn't know, but I know now. Like that's when I knew I was meant to sell. Like I had this like innate ability to sell things.
it's crazy because another guest of ours, Gillian, was telling a story too where she was working and Gillian's a beast, and then she was selling the straighteners in the mall. And it's just funny how like we have all these
sell
people,
something.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, just go sell something.
But I think sales is one of those things where it's like not everybody is good at it because not everybody is just like relentless, right? Like if you're in sales, like you have to be able to take that no, take that rejection and keep pushing,
Yes and no, but if you realize that sales is literally not just selling a product, but that everything in life is sales, then you realize like you can learn, you can become better. Like kids are salespeople. My little kids, they don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
So that's them selling me on what they want.
Right. Right.
So it's the same thing. So just take away the product. You're not selling real estate. You're not selling Cutco, but you're selling yourself, your ideas. When you're with your friends and you're talking to them and you're trying to reason with them, that's selling, right?
Yeah,
so that's all it is.
absolutely.
When you break it down to like the very core principle of it, we all have that skill. It's just some people, again, have that limiting belief like, I'm not good at sales because I don't like talking to people.
Right.
You think I like talking to people all the time? Like, I like talking to my friends. I don't like talking to strangers, but you guess what? I got to do it.
Right.
So it's a limiting belief. I believe that it's a limiting belief.
I think like with sales, what it taught me is like I used to have this like extreme fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And I had to just push through that, right? Like I feel like a lot of people, they hear that no, they get really discouraged and then they stop.
Yeah.
And what kind of like set me apart is I was just like, okay, well, I just need to pivot and find a way to make it work. But yeah, that was my first job, was selling knives.
Did you do well?
I did. Okay, so humble brag, I was like 15, 16. I sold an ultimate set, so that was like, okay, I want to say that was like over $1,000 at the time.
Yeah,
my commission
it.
on that was like $400 or $500. Okay, at that time I was stoked.
Yeah.
That was everything.
That's a lot. That's still a lot. If I make $400 or $500, I'm happy.
Right?
This is a steady uphill going
Right?
story. Like,
right? But that's kind of like, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So after that, boom, I got a job at Rubio's, shout out Rubio's.
Okay. Cutco to Rubio's.
Cutco, Rubio's, and then Rubio's. And then I had a retail job working at this little fashion place. And so that was the point in my life where I'm like handling multiple jobs at once, part-time jobs and getting paid $8 an hour at the time.
Yeah.
But that's when I really learned like there was direct merit into working hard. Like I'm getting these checks back and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're $200-$300 checks, but it's making me feel really good. And I'm getting that like happiness from achieving something, like knowing that like, okay, my time is worth something. Because before that, I was just kind of like fucking around, like, but to
So
actually.
how old were you at this point then?
Teenager.
Okay.
Teenager.
Wait, when were you before? What do you mean before this? Like when you were like 14?
Yeah, like I just feel like you're just like you're just wasting time, not wasting time, but your time you're not earning anything back for the time spent doing whatever you're doing.
Definitely,
so this was the first time in my life where it's like I'm directly getting something from spending my time somewhere or putting my time into something.
Yeah, it seems like you went to the jump of adulthood very early, in my opinion. So
I think so. Having like so many siblings, my parents did everything they could to provide for us, but I always like strived for more.
Yeah.
I was like, some people are okay with not having a car. Some people are okay with this. I'm not. I will work and do whatever it takes to earn that.
Are your siblings kind of the same way?
Yes, I would say like my oldest sister, she had always just like worked so hard to give us everything we wanted. Like, she was kind of like the parent, even though she was the
had
oldest.
to raise you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So seeing her work ethic and seeing her, another thing she did was like, she was super into like designer.
Okay.
And always seeing her with like the newest Louis Vuitton bag or Chanel bag or something, I was just like, wow, like I want to get to that level. So she was one of my biggest inspirations as well.
Is she also an entrepreneur, kind of like you right now?
She is an entrepreneur.
Okay.
She owns 2 businesses in San Diego. She has a nail salon and a barber shop with her partner, and they absolutely crush it. They've been there for years, and she actually got her real estate license as well.
Oh, nice. Recently?
She got it a few years ago.
Okay.
But that's one of the things that inspired me to get my license.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, okay, I'm seeing that she got her license, and I was like, I can do it too.
So your sisters, your brothers, you guys are all kind of like in this, like mostly, are your other brothers in the entrepreneur
So I
space?
only have one brother. He's the oldest, but I think all my siblings are kind of all over the place.
Okay.
They all have their own interests.
Yeah.
But one thing we all saw growing up was like our mom just hustling, working, doing whatever she had to do. And so all of us kind of have that like grit to us that like we will work and do whatever it takes.
I love it. So I think that's what it is. Like the theme is like you have to kind of struggle.
Yeah.
Growing up. So
like
I don't know how it's hard to duplicate though. Like if you didn't grow up struggling.
Yeah.
My thing with this podcast is like, how can we take what you're telling us and duplicate it, right? So that other people can find the drive, the hunger, that grit that you're talking about.
One thing I want to say, like for all the viewers out there, all the audience who's listening, I think the biggest key component to this is that you were someone who took inspiration instead of using like hate. You know, there's a lot of people out there who's like, like this person over here got this. He's lame. He got this Louis bag. Like, he's probably a D bag, you know.
Yeah, you're not a hater. That's the other thing. You're not a hater.
And I feel like in any form of for your life, whatever age, like that's the best way to lead, to grow for like success and to grow bigger into a better person. And you did that at such a young age, and I think that's what's going to carry you on further.
Damn, I'm loving this story.
Yeah, this is a good story.
We're only in high school, guys.
I'm like,
we're only in the high school stage.
We could stop right now and be pretty good.
So, okay, you see the grit, the hunger. Now you're in high school. You're making some money. Obviously, a couple $100. Yeah, that's freaking awesome. What's next? You go to college?
Next, I went to the University of Oregon in Eugene.
Jesus, heck of far.
For me, right?
San Diego to Eugene, Oregon?
I wanted something completely different. Like, I really wanted something. I've always been the type of person to challenge myself. I feel like when I feel uncomfortable and my back is against the wall, that's when I perform the best.
Right.
And so moving to another state to go to school, with knowing nobody there, was that for me. And so one thing that taught me was just like, I'm completely on my own. You know, I'm living on my own. I need to learn how to balance work and school. I need to learn how to live in a whole new, area.
Did you get scholarship for?
I did not. So that out of state tuition, very expensive. So it takes a lot to kind of like, stay on top of everything. But it really, like, if you're saying like, I stepped into adulthood quick, I stepped into adulthood quick once I moved to Oregon.
Yeah.
And what that did for me and my story was teach me that like I could conquer anything, right? Like I could move to a whole nother state, and not only could I like acclimate, but I could also thrive.
Yeah.
And so that kind of leads me to later in my life when, I come back to San Diego, I'm working in nightlife. So I was doing bottle service, working in the nightclubs,
what did you graduate with?
I actually didn't graduate.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go drop out life.
Props to you.
Yes,
Me too.
Yes. So
it got too expensive or
very expensive.
I figured.
And it was to the point where I was just like, okay, I can live the rest of my life in debt, or I can figure it out.
So you had no plan.
How far did you go?
I was there for almost 3 years.
Oh dang! And how much did you graduate? Like how much debt did you accumulate?
A lot. A lot. That out of state tuition. Like my first year I was living in the dorm, so it was a lot. But then I realized I was just like, I could get this degree to have it on my wall so my parents could be happy, or I could just live my life and still be successful. You know what I mean? And I realized like I was in school, one, because I was in a system where you're told that's what you need to do to the ladders of success. So I realized me going to school had nothing to do with me and had everything to do with wanting to please other people. And at that point I was like, screw this. Like, I know I can make it no matter what. So I was like, boom, moved back to San Diego. You know, I'm in nightlife doing bottle service, and I go from selling, you know, a couple $100 knives to selling like, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 in champagne and liquor and stuff.
Which
you know
which club?
I started out, shout out Jamie Stacks, at F6, which is a nightclub in San Diego. It's still around to
right
this
there
day.
on the main street, right?
Yeah, it's on 6th, and that's when I really learned. I was just like, okay, I got to the next level of like selling, but not just selling, like actually building relationships with people, having clientele, and I guess just furthering my skill set.
Yeah. What's the commission on bottles? I know it's a lot.
So it's 20% gratuity.
Jeez.
Right. So you figure, you know, $1,000 bottle, that's $200 of gratuity right there. But you have minimums, right? So if there's a table and they have, you know, $3,000 minimum, you know, you're making at least $600, you know, off that table.
Yeah.
Not to mention that's included gratuity. If you kill it, you know, they're going to tip you on top of it, right? So there's nights where it's like you might have, you know, high rollers and they want to tip you an extra 1,000, tip you an extra 2,000. So it adds up really quickly.
How much do you like pull like a month as a bottle service?
So I was like, man, I was working 2 days a week, just like Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday. And I was, at the time, it was good money. I was making at least like 4,000 or 5,000 a month.
Holy
for like 8 days a month.
Yeah,
maybe 10, right? Because some months only have like 5 weeks max.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But just like anything in life, you have to work your way up to that. You know, I didn't start off just making that money. I had to earn my stripes in that industry. But yeah, I got comfortable.
Yeah.
It was easy, right? Like you wake up, go to work 8 p.m., you know, you're done 3, 4 a.m. I'm sleeping in till like 2 p.m., you know, and it's just becoming like a routine. And it was just like, for me, I was just like, there has to be more to life than this, you know? Like, I remember one day I was working and I was like, why am I the one serving the bottles? Why am I not the one, you know, celebrating and popping in the bottles? You know, I was like, I need to get on the other side of this.
This is a cool story.
Yeah, I was like, I need to get on the other side of this. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do it here.
Right.
Like, I was too comfortable. I was around some of the people I were around. I didn't feel inspired by them.
Yeah, I feel that.
I love them. You know, they're people that are near and dear to me, but they didn't inspire me. And I was like, I need inspiration.
What do you say about that, bro?
Never forget that moment that you just felt right there, because you're going to experience it in real estate as well. Like, I think most realtors get stuck being a realtor, and there's nothing wrong with being a realtor. But I don't I don't do this anymore, but I used to attend all the signings, right? And when we used to help these investors sell their you know, like $3-4 million homes, which they bought for like a 1.5, they put 500,000 in, and at the closing doc, I saw them making $1 million, and I made 75,000 or 50,000. Right. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
I forgot what year it was, but I looked down and I was like, I need to be in that seat, not this seat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's exactly like where you were, where it's like, I need to be where they are at, spending this money, not serving the bottles. And so don't forget that, because you're going to see it in multiple stages. And some people are going to be like, well, you don't want to have that grass is always greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. But that's not the full picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I continue to stay a realtor, right, the most I'll make is probably I got to kill it. You'll make 3-4 mil.
Right.
Like these developers, or now that I'm dealing with even higher ups, they're making like 10, 15, 20 mil.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know many real estate agents making 10, 15, 20 million. So the grass is greener where you water it, but at some point you still have to keep the horizon open and saying, okay, I've mastered this. Can I conquer something else?
Definitely.
And it's funny you say that, Brian, because that's actually why I was so drawn to your company, 50 Hills, is because I always saw myself as like having these like shells, and I'm constantly outgrowing onto the next thing. And when I had met you and your team for the first time, I was just inspired. I was like, wow, they're in positions I would love to be in. And they also have a wealth of knowledge and they have a lot that they can teach me. And so that's what really like prompted me to, you know, join your company. Yeah. So it's awesome that you say that because being an agent is great. You know, I feel very comfortable moving throughout a transaction. You know I can help people. I know I can connect with people and, you know, get the job done, but it's about growth and being on the other side of that, right? Like, I don't want to be the agent. I want to be the investor. I want to be the person, you know?
Hell yeah, man. We'll probably see you. You'll probably be investing on one of the YouTube videos. Like
I mean, like, you know, working with guys like him, like, yeah, I'll be there sooner than you know, I probably expected to.
Like, it takes, like Union City.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to like make $200,000.
Yeah.
Off that.
3 months.
I spent how many, like, I didn't, how much time did I spend there, PJ?
Yeah. We went there like once a week. And then some days we didn't even go.
Only to shoot content.
And some days we didn't even go.
Only to shoot content.
Only to shoot content.
Like, for you to make $200,000 in real estate, you'd have to sell $4 million. A little bit more because there's splits, right? So like maybe 4.3.
Yeah.
Average commission. Yours are higher. Your deals are like 2 million. So that's 2 deals. Mine at its peak was like 1.5. So I had to do like 3 deals, right? But I had to work on their schedule. I had to go show houses. I had to go list property. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying flipping's for everybody, but I'm just showing you like there are better ways to making money. I think real estate, the sales side is just the first step.
Yeah.
Stack that cash, then let's level up.
Dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The book is just being written still, guys.
Yeah, I don't want to
talk.
I don't even want to share with you guys what we're gonna make on Gateway.
Yeah.
Hopefully the buyers are not watching this.
I mean, they can watch it. It's the truth. I mean, look, they gotta pay what the market is demanding, but it's like, how do you find the deals? That's like, you know, that's the skill.
Yeah.
Right. So then you had enough.
Yeah. And I was like.
So then did you get your license during this time?
No, okay. I moved to the Bay first. So I was just like, okay, I want that same feeling I felt when I moved off to college. Okay. And so I was like, let me just completely change my surroundings. Like, I want to just be not really like a fresh start, but just like, I just want to be nobody. Like, I just want to go somewhere and start all over again. And so I was like, let's go to the Bay Area. I mean, I knew I had like skills and I was just like, I need to kind of be isolated from everything that's familiar to me so that I have this desire to level up.
Okay.
And so I chose the Bay Area because...
Well, right before you keep going, did you have any idea of what you were going to do or no?
So I had known someone and he was basically offering me a job and I was like, okay, like I'll move out here for the job. It was like a personal assistant job or whatever. Cool. But I was just like, okay, it's in the Bay Area, which is where I wanted to go anyway. So it makes sense. But I actually chose the Bay because, like I said, I grew up very poor. The first place I ever flew to on a plane was the Bay Area.
Like where? San Francisco?
San Francisco. Wow. Monterey, like, you know, just that whole Northern California. And so I had always like loved the Bay Area. And I told myself like one day, like when you have money, like you can move there and live there. Cause I like fell in love with it. Like the culture, everything was lit to me. I was just like, oh, this is lit.
That's funny. Most people would say SoCal.
Right.
But okay.
For me, I think it's cause I'm from SoCal. You know, they always think like you always want what you don't have. So for me,
dude, Bay Area is lit. I don't care.
Bay Area is lit. Bay Area has a lot of culture. And there's so many things that are just so distinctly Bay Area. Whereas I felt like I didn't really have that in San Diego. There's nothing in San Diego besides like the beaches and stuff where it's like, oh, that's so San Diego. So I was like, okay, Bay Area is where I want to be. So I move out here. Long story short, the job falls through.
He didn't even hire you?
He hired me, but it was not what I thought it was going to be.
Damn.
Oh. You know, it was, and I was not comfortable with it. And I was like, I have morals. And so I was like, you know, I'm not doing this, right? So I'm up here and I
already know what he did.
Yo.
I moved to Walnut Creek.
Okay, nice area.
And I was like, exactly.
Hey, I love Walnut Creek.
I love Walnut Creek as well. And I was like, if I want to become successful, I need to be around the things that I want to have in my life. You know, I was just like, I need to be in that area. You know, I could, you know, afford rent in a place where it's like maybe like not so safe and, you know, but I was just like, definitely. No, I want to be where the people I want to be like are. So I was like, I don't care what it takes. Spent my last to move myself into a 1-bedroom apartment in Walnut Creek. And at that point I was like asked out. I was like, I have no money. Yeah. I have no furniture. Nice. And I have no job.
Nice. Holy smokes. Okay.
So I just walked down the street and found this restaurant, applied there. Went back to my roots because I had serving experience.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm comfortable with this. And also the reason why I went for a restaurant is because I was like, that's fast money. There's no ceiling to how much money I can leave within tips.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you go to another job, you're trading your time for an hourly wage. And I was like, I can't do that. I need fast money. So I was like, let me go to a restaurant.
It's funny when people say fast money. I thought you were gonna say drugs, but like okay, restaurants fast money. I like it. I like where your head's going.
I didn't have any family up here to bail me out, so I was like, maybe can't go that route. So
I mean, technically, you can make $20 the first day, right? Because you get tips, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I go into the restaurant where I'm comfortable, and I work myself up. I'm serving, then I'm bartending, then I'm a manager, and then I'm like, wow, I'm like seeing myself just like level up, and I was like, okay, like if I can do this in the restaurant space, I can do this in any profession, you know what I mean? And in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. I start doing bottle service again. There was at one point when I was working like 4 different places at
Bottle
once.
service, what, like in
SF.
Okay.
You know?
Which one, Temple?
No, I was at the Grand Origin and Holy Cow. They're all owned by the same company.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
they're friends of ours.
Yeah, exactly. So Lily and Jay, they're great. But there was a point where I was literally juggling like 4 jobs. It did not matter. I was just like, I have this high ass rent to pay. I'm going to pay it. And it was funny because, well, not funny, but it was really humbling for me. I was so broke. I didn't even have a mattress. I was sleeping on the floor.
Damn.
Like huddled next to this little like heater with my blanket and a pillow. And then I remember one of my friends at the time, he actually gave me a air mattress.
Did you think about quitting and moving back home?
There were times, absolutely.
Yeah.
There were I mean, I'm looking at this empty apartment and I'm just like, I spent all this for what, I had it good. Like I was thinking, I had it good in San Diego, I was, but then I realized I was like, no, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to ask for help. I don't need help. Like I'm all the help that I need. And so I just found a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And, I was sleeping on the floor.
Did you like working 4 jobs? Because it sounds like you've had multiple jobs before. Like, are you?
To me, the hours spent working didn't bother me because I knew the outcome would be a check with money on it.
Okay.
So I was just like, it didn't bother me because I knew I was like, the more I work, the more I earn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very simple way of looking at making money, but that's what I thought at the time. So
sometimes you got to simplify it.
Yeah.
Don't complicate it. I think when you complicate it, that's when people get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like shut up and just go to work.
Right. And I think that's
Make that paycheck.
I also think that's where having a good attitude kicks in because a lot of people, they like dread going to work. They're like, dude, I hate this. I don't want to go to work. But like when you think about it, it's like you have an opportunity to earn income.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you should be thankful for that regardless of what you're doing. And I knew like, okay, I could be serving tables, but I'm going to be the best server that's out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be making the most in tips. I'm going to be having the highest sales
Yeah.
every night. So,
I think it's because you don't have an ego either, and it's like some people kind of feel like, especially nowadays, everybody's like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be this boss.
Yeah.
So I can't go work at Rubio's. I can't go be a server. I'm like, well, that's why you're broke.
Yeah.
Like, humble yourself in terms of like, look, shit happened. Your business failed. Go back to work and then rebuild.
Yeah.
But the problem why they never are able to rebuild is because they're not able to, take a couple notch down and get their ass to work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time, like, if I lost everything, you bet your ass I'll go work for somebody. I don't give a damn,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like Dan Locke said. He said, somebody asked him, like, oh, how do you be an entrepreneur? He was all like, go get a job. He was like, how do you expect to, like, invest or do anything or, like, not know how to work?
Yeah.
It's the truth. Like, it's the freaking truth. So
That's sick. So, okay. And then what?
Yeah, like,
so
what
now you're
happened?
working 4 jobs in the Bay. You're getting comfortable. You probably have some money. You probably got some furniture now. And then what?
hopefully, yeah.
I did. So after that, pandemic hits.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Nightclubs are
Damn.
shut down.
Right.
Restaurants shut down.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa, like, how do I figure this out? So I'm like, okay, let me figure out how to make some money while I'm at home in my PJs. So I joined this Discord group and learned about day trading stock options.
Yo, I did the same thing.
That was my introduction to investing.
Okay.
So that was my introduction to investing. So now I'm like changing the way I think about money. I'm like, okay, it's more than just clocking in hours and getting a check. You could literally grow your money in minutes, seconds
100%.
with day trading stock
100%.
options, and you're making your money make money for you. And that's like another evolution in my story where I'm like, now I'm changing the way I think about making money. And then that led into like, okay, like, investing in stocks, it's great, but if you're investing in just shares, that's a long-term play, right? Stock's not going to just, I mean, actually those meme plays were crazy, but, stock, that's like a long-term play. So I'm thinking like, I need to think bigger. Something like invest in real estate. Okay. What's the best way to invest in real estate? Become an agent. I didn't know anything. And I knew if I became an agent, that I would naturally just learn everything by being exposed to it. So I'm like, cool. Two of my sisters got licensed. My competitive drive, I was like, I'm gonna get licensed too. Dude. But I'm gonna be better than them.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And it's
Are you better than them?
I am.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like they're selling real estate, are
yeah,
they?
they're not. I love them to death, but I think it's like it's good to have a competitive drive without like having like malicious intent behind it, right? Because it wasn't like, I just want to like, it was more just like
destroy you.
But in like the nicest way possible.
Yeah, for sure.
So boom, I get licensed. And man, that I think that's where my story really begins, because now I feel like I'm back at square one again. Like I give up my salary job, like as a manager, and I put my all into real estate. I give up everything to hop into real estate, and the time is flying by. I spent a lot of money on my dues, my MLS and everything. It's not cheap to get started, and I'm living in Walnut Creek. My team is based out in South Bay, so I'm like commuting from South Bay all the time. I'm spending like burning through gas. Remember, gas was really high at one point.
Still is.
I was like dead broke, and then I would just have days, to be so honest. I feel like I'm getting vulnerable here. There was days where I would just like break down crying in my car.
Dude,
I was sleeping in my car because I was like, I can't do one showing, drive back up to Walnut Creek when I have another showing in 4 hours. So I'm like doing a showing. I'm literally like on the side of the road, sleeping in my car, working in my car, eating in my car. Had like 5 outfits in my trunk. I'm basically living out of my car, and I'm going broke. And I'm just like thinking like, is real estate even worth it? You know what I mean? I'm looking up these stories online. People are like, I didn't get my first sale until like 2 years in. And I'm like, dude, I don't have 2 years. Like I will have nothing if I don't sell in 2 years, because my bills don't stop. And then this is actually a really crazy story. So I had a lot of money like tied up in my investments, like my stocks and everything. Mm-hmm. Stock market was down at that time, like